It's time for today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
We are live here on a Monday morning. It is A to Z Sports. I'm Zach Bingham. He is Sam Phelan, and we've got a big-time show. The moment that every Titans fan and every Titans fan has been looking forward towards, every Texans fan has feared for years. They are here. The Oilers throwbacks are official. We are going to officially grade them and then put them up against some of the other throwbacks in the league. That
in today's face-off, up.
That was the Tennessee Titans fan podcast, Sports A to Z, or some other nonsense. Let me know if I'm wrong. They're not the face-off F up because we don't care about them here in Houston. It is the Adams family, no relation, that owns the team, and just the Tennessee Titans generally that I see as the face-off F up. I think Houston hero and former Texan J.J. Watt had the best clapback on Twitter, where he wrote to the Titans, "You're 0-2 while wearing them against the Texans. I would beg to differ. That makes you the loser." They're also 3-13 this year. They've had a horrible season. They've made some horrible choices and tearing down a franchise that they went to the Super Bowl for the first time just right after they left Houston. It was still pretty much Houston's team, still the coach from Houston. They actually wore the Oilers for a bit and then changed to the Titans. I'm not mad at them for wearing it. The fact that they choose to seem to only wear it when they're playing in Houston or against Houston as a thumb to Houston, I think it's disgusting and despicable. And I applaud C.J. Stroud and the whole team going out there and doing the work to make the Titans think maybe they're making a mistake. I think it's disgusting. And really, much like the Browns, I think the Adams family should give us our damn jerseys back.
You're too nice.
Okay?
First of all, Charles, let me say this to you. They only wear those uniforms against the Houston Texans as a way of shooting a middle finger to the Houstonians of this city who still cherish, who still love the memories of the Houston Oilers and that beautiful uniform. They only wear it to thumb their nose, shoot the middle finger at us to say, what can you do about it? This is what I think the Houston Texans fans should do, including yourself. You're a lawyer. Start a GoFundMe page of all Texans fans. Raise some serious money. Hire the best law firm you can and sue the Titans for that uniform back. In fact, let's do whatever we can collectively as a city to put pressure on the Adams family, and they are related to the Adams family.
I wish I was related because I'd have some more money in my dang
But
pocket.
let me say this. That needs to happen, man. File a lawsuit to get that uniform back. And we can prove in court that they don't wear the uniform, only when they wear it against the Texans to slap us in the face. Bring Earl Campbell's uniform home. Bring Elvin Bethea's uniform home. Robert Brazile, Dan Pastorini, Billy White Shoes Johnson. Bring their uniform home. File a lawsuit against them dirty, no-good snakes of the Adams family down in Tennessee. And let's fight them all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary to bring that uniform home. Don't let another Oilers legend die. Don't let another Oilers legend die and not fight for that uniform.
That is true.
Let Ray Childress see us fighting to bring his uniform home.
That is tremendous hyperbole, but the truth is that intellectual property is owned by the Adams family. They've got the marks. That was their team that they moved because Houston didn't want to do what they wanted to do.
Let's force them to sell it back to Houston.
Okay, but you can't.
Oh, yes, you can.
What I will applaud.
There's a whole lot we can do in courtrooms.
What I will applaud is the University of Houston Cougars, when they started wearing a Oilers-esque color scheme, and then they got threatened by the Titans and I believe the NFL to stop wearing it, and they gave them the middle finger. And that's how we take it back. Why not petition the NFL to allow the Texans to have a more baby blue or more.
No, man.
Texans blue.
Let's go to
Why
court
don't-
and bring the
Because it's
Legends
not a winner.
uniform
You don't win.
back home. I think
You
you're
don't
wrong.
win.
I
There's
think
not
you're
a
wrong.
cause of
Because we
action.
can show malicious intent with that uniform.
What we
can
should
show
do-
malicious, vindictive intent with that
What
uniform.
we should do
and the
is-
NFL
is
should work with the city of
petition-
Houston
right,
to bring that
right.
uniform
We
home.
should petition the NFL to step in and take some real action. And they're the ones that let him take it to Tennessee.
Could you
And then
could
switch
you imagine?
the Titans, but keep the Oilers and not give them
let me
back.
say something.
Because I'll tell you what, I hate the name the Texans.
But
That's
guess
the
what, though?
stupidest name
How
for
do
a
you
football team in the world.
How do you feel the Oakland Raiders fans feel when they watch them in Las Vegas
I get it.
still with that Raiders uniform,
Well-
brother? Could you imagine the Dallas Cowboys leaving Dallas and taking the star with them? Could you imagine that?
I wouldn't be heartbroken if Jerry Jones left Texas.
Yeah, we don't care about that.
But here's the thing.
Could you imagine that?
But the Raiders, they went from L.A., Oakland, they bounced around quite a bit.
Exactly.
You know,
But they're legendary Oakland
I
Raiders.
prefer, you've seen the Rams bounce around. Like the Rams, but St. Louis, they were somewhere before
But they were
St.
never
Louis.
legendary like the Raiders.
Okay, no, they were. I mean, you think about
The Rams was never legendary like the Raiders.
I mean, here's the thing. The Oilers, we don't have any national championships as the Oilers. We never won no Super Bowls, right?
But remember, we made songs, rap songs,
I had the vinyl.
hip hop songs,
I had the
R&B
vinyl.
songs about the Oilers
well,
uniform.
my study-
When I was in elementary, we sung it in class.
you're a Cowboys fan,
Houston,
stop
no, I'm a religious Cowboy
You're
fan.
a Cowboys fan.
But in school, we sung in elementary school.
here's the thing.
Houston Oilers,
Believe me.
Houston Oilers number
If you
one.
go into
Yeah,
my
I remember
study,
those days.
I got a Campbell helmet. I got a Warren Moon helmet, like signed both of them. I got a Bum Phillips baby blue cowboy hat signed by Bum. I'm a big fan of the Oilers. Grew up.
Well,
and
why
that's-
should
but
we allow Earl Campbell
It's not
or
about
Warren
allowing.
Moon to die
It's not about.
and not bring their uniform home?
That's what the NFL
Bring
needs
their
to step.
but guess
the
what though?
NFL needs
it
to
won't
step
happen
in.
unless the people make it happen.
Look, the NFL needs to step in. They're not going to do anything.
It won't happen
You know what?
unless the people
billionaires
demand
are running
that
the
happens.
NFL just like they run this country.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you know what? Life ain't fair.
Power
But,
concedes
hey,
nothing without a demand.
Hey, good for you, JJ, for sticking up for the city, but more importantly, good for the Houston Texans for beating
Go
the piss
fight to bring
out
that
of the
uniform
Titans
back to Houston.
and reminding the Titans that they suck.
When you think about Ben Gordon out there, when you think about an Aaron Glenn, when you think about all the prime prospects that exist, and you got a young quarterback like Caleb Williams, you don't want to bring some dude that's been around for ages to be the face of your franchise now as the head coach. But Mike McCarthy knows people. And that's why you could get a call saying we want to talk to this man. Because talking to this man reminds Jerry Jones and the rest of the world he might be wanted by someone, and maybe that'll get Jerry Jones up on his toes. That's what I think this is about. But I also think it's a shame that it has to get to this point, because the one thing that Mike McCarthy deserves, keep him or let him go. But all of this dancing around and trying to put the onus on his shoulders is completely and entirely unfair.
Well, guys, you know who Jerry learned this style from is Al Davis. Now, see, you could do this with Al back in the 70s and 80s when they had more talent, when they were littered with Hall of Famers. Right. Jerry could do this when he had Jimmy, but he didn't bother Jimmy. He got rid of Jimmy and still had some of Jimmy's players. Now he's still trying to operate in the same manner.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
For the purpose and for the sake of transparency, Charles, I have to admit I am a religious Dallas Cowboy fan. I've been a Dallas Cowboy fan since I was 5 years old, when my uncles introduced me to them playing in the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But as a lifelong Dallas Cowboy fan, we have become the laughing stock of the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys' problem, in all honesty, is not Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy was never the answer to bring into Dallas in the first place. The problem with the Dallas Cowboys is the owner, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones has become the cancer to winning in the Dallas Cowboys organization and the NFL. He is number one in promoting the franchise. He's number one in marketing the team like no other. But he's also number one standing alone like Al Davis did with the Raiders as the internal sabotage to winning within the Dallas Cowboys franchise. When you heard his comments Charles, that he made just recently about Mike McCarthy, about the Chicago Bears saying they wanted to speak to him. And his response was, well, go talk. And the man's contract expires this week with the Dallas Cowboys. He treated him like he was irrelevant and immaterial. Then he went on to say just months ago whether we didn't get Derrick Henry when Derrick Henry was in Dallas, training in Dallas, and publicly stated he wanted to co-play for the Dallas Cowboys. He said Derrick Henry didn't fit their scheme, but yet Derrick Henry almost broke the all-time rushing record this year in Baltimore. The problem with the Dallas Cowboys is Jerry Jones. And we're never going to win again in Dallas until Jerry Jones is out of the way. He has never won anything in Dallas. Jimmy Johnson won in Dallas. Jerry Jones went along for the ride. When Jimmy left and he brought in Barry Switzer, he won with Jimmy Johnson's system, Jimmy Johnson's players. Jerry Jones has not drafted anything on his own and put anything together to even get back to the NFC Championship game until the Dallas Cowboy fans, who remembers America's team, collectively come together to send Jerry Jones this message. You're not bigger than the star, sir. Because before you ever bought the team, Jerry, Dallas was America's team, and Dallas was winning Super Bowls and playing in Super Bowls before Jerry ever bought the team. We need to send that man a message. As Cowboy fans, you're not bigger than the star.
Well, I will tell you, I think we should be having more of a discussion about Jerry Jones's and Mike McCarthy's decision to bench Cooper Rush.
Oh, my God.
Okay, a journeyman, third-string quarterback who got a lot of playing time this season simply because there were other people hurt. He's done a good job managing the team in a difficult situation.
Best teammate.
He didn't make a whole lot of money. Maybe he's an NFL player.
Never complains.
Right? But he was due for several, he had an incentive-laden deal.
$500,000.
$500,000 if he'd just played one series
Three
of downs,
plays.
right?
Just 3 plays.
He'd have been due for that. And clearly there was an intentional decision by the organization to not play
Jerry
him.
made that call.
So he would not get the bonus, and that's disgusting.
Jerry made that call.
That happened. And then Landman, I love that show. I love Taylor Sheridan's TV shows, but this new show with Billy Bob Thornton and John Hamm based on, I don't know if you watch it. It's like the modern day Dallas, the old TV show. They had Jerry Jones guest appeared on it. It was like giving sage advice to John Hamm. And I'm listening to it and talking about families and this and that. Jerry Jones is a scumbag. Jerry Jones has always been a scumbag. But I don't care about his scumbaggery, right? When Jerry Jones took over the Cowboys, they were doing horribly, right? And Tom Landry, because I grew up in Austin, and I could be a fan of the Oilers and Cowboys, and I was a fan of the Oilers up until he run off Jimmy Johnson, right? But he took the organization that was doing horribly. I think they were like 1-13 or something.
Yeah, 1-14.
And he said he fired Landry, which some old heads were disgusted by it because he was such a titan in that industry, in that sport. He brought in Jimmy Johnson. They would come off doing such a great job at Miami. And Jimmy rebuilt the team from the ground up, got rid of Herschel Walker, which a lot of people were shocked, and built this thing that could have been a dynasty. They were almost a dynasty. 3 Super Bowls in a short period of time is a big deal.
In
but
3 years.
They could have kept winning like the Patriots
3
did.
in a row.
And I personally would argue that for the last 2 decades, the Patriots have been America's team, not the Cowboys. Right? I don't think the Cowboys are America's team anymore. I don't think they've been so in a long time. And it's time for Jerry Jones to look in the dang mirror, realize he's the same Tom Landry that he fired decades ago, and ask one person to come in here and coach the team.
And relinquish your GM duties.
Relinquish his GM duties.
Let somebody else be president.
Right.
Bring people in to do this.
And that person is Deion Sanders.
And let me say this.
Deion Sanders is the only person. People would come, other people would fight to go play for Deion just like they're doing in college.
Let me say this to
and
you.
And he could rebuild that team.
Let me say this, for the sake of transparency, my son is leaving to play for Deion in Colorado in a day. Tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
But Let me say this.
Let's make sure he gets that check when he lands.
By God willing. But the Dallas Cowboys would never hire Deion Sanders.
Right,
you know why?
Because he'd want too much control.
Because Jerry Jones would no longer be the face of the star.
Right.
He'd no longer be the face of the Cowboys. And before the game, they wouldn't be looking for Jerry Jones.
Right.
After the game, they wouldn't be looking for Jerry Jones. They'd be looking for Deion Sanders.
Right.
That man's ego is so narcissistically large, he wouldn't do that. He would rather see the team lose than bring in somebody who can lead that team back to greatness. He would never do it. Look at how long he kept Jimmy Johnson out of the Ring of Honor in Dallas.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Shame.
And Jimmy Johnson left because Jerry Jones went to the owners' meeting and started talking mess, right?
Yes.
Now, I would say his ego is probably inversely proportional to his penis, and that is why he said, oh, you got that kind of money.
And told the other owners that he could coach the Dallas Cowboys in that meeting.
This is a guy that is riddled with insecurities. He's got all kind of off-field issues. He's a creepy old dude, and it's time for him to retire. You need to find a better team to support.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. You know something, maniacs? I've been in this business for over 40 years, and the greatest part of my life was being part of this great WWE, guys.
Charles, that was real serious there, brother. We just watched a video of the legendary Hulk Hogan, Mr. WrestleMania himself, the one who body slammed Andre the Giant at WrestleMania to win the title, the one who fought the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania to lose the title to the Warrior. Hulk Hogan fought The Rock, Stone Cold, all of them. Many give him the credit for being the backbone of the great spring of professional wrestling. Now he goes on the stage at the Netflix first-time presentation of Raw in their relationship now with WWE. And the fans booed him like he had never, ever been booed before. Being a man who watched Hulk Hogan since I was a teenager in the 80s, to see how he was booed this week on Monday night, this last Monday night, was shocking, Charles. But I would say this, Hogan really brought this on himself, and he should have known that this was going to take place when they invited him to go to such a tremendously liberal state like California. But he was always known as Hollywood Hogan. Now Hollywood has rejected Hulk Hogan.
Well, I think it's been going on for quite some time, right? There was obviously a period when he was a Hollywood character, when he wore all black and he was the heel, he was the bad guy, right? Now, we both graduated high school in '90. Obviously, Hulk Hogan was huge in the '80s. Randy Macho Man Savage and other Roddy Piper. It's basically, I've always seen wrestling as just soap opera for guys, right? It's a contrived story, but it still involves a tremendous amount of athleticism. Throughout history, historically, there's been an unbelievable amount of steroid use, which leads to roid rage and bad behavior. You've seen a number of suicides and just tragic stories because the wrestlers don't have, historically have not been paid the money, anything comparable to other professional sports icons, despite the unbelievable amount of money that sport generates. But Hogan, I do think politics played into the booing.
A significant role.
Right? And I think that's sad. I think it's sad that people get booed for supporting one party. You know, if you go to different states in this country, and if you were an outspoken Biden supporter, you'd get booed too.
Same thing.
And I think we need to look past individual. When you're talking a major party candidate, that's not a reason to boo somebody.
What made Hulk Hogan so he could go to L.A.?
But hold on.
With California being the
isn't it more
citadel
important?
of liberalism,
Let's not forget,
and be celebrated.
Let's not forget that in the 2007-ish, he was outed for using a racial slur and not, you know, what was that country western singer?
Daughter.
Yeah, the country western singer said the soft A, and he was talking with, you know, had a black, you know, you shouldn't use it, but he wasn't using it.
He did the same thing that Donald Sterling was doing,
right?
Criticizing his daughter and criticizing white women for dating black men.
Right, he was being racist.
Exactly.
Right? Just like, you know, everyone talks about what a great guy.
But that's back in 07.
Right.
You with me?
Right.
Then it sprung up in 15 when it really came out, and he was pulled away from the WWE Hall of Fame, but then brought back in 18. But then he's been publicly on the platforms with Donald Trump, supporting Donald Trump, supporting Let's Make America Great Again, Let's Take America Back, etc.
But do you
that
think
has come back to haunt him.
Do you think it was the racism or the politics that led to booing? Because I'd
like
to think it was the racism.
I think the racism attached to what people believe is racist politics coming from conservatives is what did it to Hulk Hogan. But I will say this to Hulk Hogan.
And wasn't there a scandal about like sex tape?
Oh, all that, indeed. But I don't get off of the folks with sex tapes.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it turned out he's a creepy, possibly racist dude.
But let me say this to you, Charles.
That's who gets booed.
He needs to redeem himself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree.
And I think the way you
think
do
it's
it,
possible?
Oh, it is. That's how you do it. Tell him to bring it to Texas. Bring Monday Night Raw to Texas. Bring Monday Night Raw to Oklahoma, Nebraska, one of them real conservative southern states.
Anyone's going to cheer.
Then bring him over there, and they'll celebrate Hulk Hogan. But that ego made him make a calculated mistake that he go to California and get that reception again. Hollywood Hogan is done.
I think,
in California.
I personally think that instead of going to somewhere where he got cheered at the Trump rally, right? I think it'd be more important.
But look where he was.
Maybe apologize for his words. That's the only redemption I would see.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.